Hello and welcome to Talk from Superheroes. Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Ivemy.
And I'm Diana McCullum.
And you're listening to Talk from Superheroes, where every week we discuss a piece of heroic television or film. And this week on the podcast, we are talking about the newest edition of the Apeverse?
Oh boy.
What do you want to call this?
What are we? Ape Town. The Ape sequels.
Ape Town. I like Ape Town.
You like Ape Town?
Yeah,
We're going to Ape Town.
I like it in that, like, it's kind of cute that it's just like just straight across the bow. Like, it's not clever. It's just cute.
That's how people describe my comedy. Yes.
Ape Town.
It's not clever. It's just cute.
And people are going Ape Town for it, frankly.
Thank you, all listeners. Listeners, you love it. Or you wouldn't be here.
Here we are.
Unless you're just here for Andrew, in which case, apologies for the Ape Town.
I also apologize because you've made poor choices. Ape Town, baby.
Love having no confidence in our own abilities several hundred episodes in.
That's what you want to hear.
That's what we're humble.
Total Ape Town.
We're humble in Ape Town.
I kind of like it as a turn of phrase. It's a catch-all. It's Smurfs. Like, you can just kind of use it in whatever context you want it to.
Smurfs.
It's Smurfs.
What about Smurfs?
They use their name as like as an adjective.
Because they live in like Smurfville.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, like
we're smurfing
like we got to
around.
Smurf that and like Smurf here, Smurf there. They'll just use it to mean whatever they want it to mean in any given scenario.
I feel like you know so much more about Smurfs than me. This feels like the third time it's come up.
That's the only thing I know about Smurfs.
Well, who knows stuff about
Legitimately, I think I've never watched like an episode of the Smurfs.
Well,
So, but I
here
just
we
know
are.
I know the zeitgeist of Smurfs.
that they use it as a verb.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't think they
See,
did.
this is the type of human culture that gets lost when it's turned into a Planet of the Apes. We're talking about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes today, the recent installment of the Apes films.
Of Ape Town.
Yeah, a fourth of Ape Town, a fourth film, a continuation of the Matt Reeves trilogy to a certain degree, and it is a new film. And as we do anytime we talk about a new TV show or movie, we're going to give you a spoiler-free review in case you're on the fence about watching it and you just want a taste of the episode for whatever reason to help make your decision. And then once you hear the theme music, that is when we will enter the spoiler-filled section. But we'll start with the spoiler-free review. We'll start with the usual, the simple question. Diana, did you like it?
I didn't really like it, but I didn't really dislike it either. This movie is the epitome of fine. It is, they do everything just fine, and it's boring, but it's not like bad. You're like, oh yes, the plot is logical. The effects look good. The actors are acting. Stuff has happened. I'm quite bored. But you didn't do anything bad, but you didn't do anything great. And it really is like a paint by numbers, just like basic, not even action. It's like drama action. There's not that much action in it.
I'd call it like
Sci-fi, because I guess the apes talk. Is that what we're looking at here?
yeah, like a non-horror thriller is kind of where I would put it. Where like I felt like
Thriller.
suspense.
Ooh, maybe suspense. Might be suspense. Okay, well, I suspended my disbelief that it was a good movie. How about that for the fun, the clever jokes we're looking for? Yeah, no, it's like, it's fine. It's nothing special. As someone who likes Apes movies quite a bit, this one really didn't do anything for me. I was just like, yeah, I'm not like, I don't like anyone. I don't dislike anyone. It is an absolute meh of a movie. I wouldn't recommend you see it in theaters. You can pop it on while you do laundry at home. Even then, it's a little boring for a laundry movie, I would say. But yeah, it's not bad. It's just a little boring. Yeah. So this is my hot take about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Andrew, did you like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes?
I liked it considerably more than you.
Oh shit.
I thought it was good. This isn't like this isn't elevated to like a love. I don't know if it's the best of the franchise, but it's good. I felt engaged the entire time. I felt that its pacing actually moved at a really good pace that I felt like I felt into, I felt invested, I felt tension when I was meant to feel tension. I think that it was just really great visual storytelling, and I think that there are simple stories being told here, but they tell them eloquently and smoothly and like quickly and breezily in a way that I was just invested in every single time, where it's like, here's a quick little family story that we're going to tell. And I'm like, okay. And I was into that for the whole time. Now here's a more aggressive tension between two people. We're going to tell that story, but with minimal dialogue, because this is at a point in the Apes franchise where they speak, but not necessarily eloquently. Mm-hmm. And I really like these simple visual emotional stories that they tell. I felt invested. I liked a couple of the apes. I liked the stories that were being done. And for a a relatively long runtime. I'm like, it moved at a pretty breezy pace and kind of earned its runtime. I'm not going to say that it was needed, but like at no point was I drifting off. I was with it. I liked the visual storytelling. I liked the minimal dialogue. I think that they did more with less dialogue than a lot of movies do. And I felt connected to several of the characters at multiple times. I was in. I was having a great time.
Wow. Disagree on every point. That's
Wow.
crazy. No, I nearly fell asleep once. I was laying on your shoulder and I was like, no, I got to sit up or I'm going to fall right asleep. I didn't like how many characters the main character met throughout the way. I'm like, I would love to have one solid relationship that this movie's about. I thought it was weird that he didn't spend much time with the one human, and the whole thing was like, can humans and apes live together? So I didn't like that. This didn't grab me.
Wow.
Didn't get me at all. These aren't the apes I'm looking for.
Very interesting. Okay.
And I thought it was long. I checked my watch like 4 times.
Really? I didn't check my watch once. I felt like it just snapped by.
Oh, wow. That's really nice.
Wow. So we're on a different wavelength on this one.
Different wavelength on the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
But can it be spoiled?
Not really. You'd have to it's like all new characters. Like you're not like, there's nothing you know going in. You probably know there's apes.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I don't think, unless you're looking at me like you think there's a spoilie.
I think it can be a little bit if you care about these films. If you are someone who's like, I saw the other 3, I liked the Caesar storyline that Andy Serkis told. If you're someone who's actually like been paying attention and caring, and if you care about the Apes franchise, I think there's some things in here that can be spoiled for you that you probably want to experience fresh.
Okay.
If you have a vague memory of the previous movies and you're like, I think I liked them and I'm just kind of looking to see something in theaters this weekend, then it can't be spoiled. Don't worry about it too much. But if you're invested in these films, then I think that there's a couple of things that can kind of be spoiled for you here.
Okay. Well, you're all going to take Andrew's word for it then. I can't think of anything.
Okay.
But I believe you.
We'll discuss it in the
spoiler-filled section.
But before we do get to the spoiler-filled section, we do want to take a moment to thank our sponsor of today's episode. We want to thank our friends over at Mint Mobile. You know when you make a positive change in your life and you have that moment where you're like, oh, wow, I should have done this a long time ago. How have I been living the wrong way up until now?
That like relief that's terrible of when you've been procrastinating to do something and you're like, my life is so much better now. I could have been better earlier.
And you realize it would have been easy to have gotten done earlier. Well, Mint Mobile has phone plans starting for $15 a month when you purchase a 3-month plan. And that's the type of thing that will leave you thinking, why didn't I do this much, much sooner? So you can say goodbye to your overpriced wireless plans and their ridiculous bills and the unexpected charges and the bills that are hard to read and understand even what your plan is because it's convoluted and unnecessary.
No, it's straightforward. All plans come with high-speed data, unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. And you can use your own phone. Mint Mobile does not make you purchase a new phone with them. Bring your own phone, bring your number along with your existing contacts. They'll make it smooth, easy. It's an easy breezy Mint Mobile plan.
I had such an easy time using their website. It was probably one of the simplest experiences that I've had in my purchasing life, which has been a considerable amount of time now.
Andrew buys things.
Andrew's
a purchaser.
I'm known to spend a little money or two.
Online. He won't go to a store.
And this website made it nice and smooth and easy for me, which is fantastic. And $15 a month, I can't emphasize that enough. It is incredible. So to get this new customer offer and your new 3-month unlimited wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/TFS. That's mintmobile.com/TFS. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/TFS. $45 upfront payment required, equivalent to $15 a month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Speeds slower above 40 gigabytes on unlimited plan. Additional taxes, fees, and restrictions apply. See Mint Mobile for details. And now, let's get into the spoiler-filled section of the episode. Let's talk more about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
So many words.
All right, we have seen the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I would say to get the spoiler confusion out of the way right away, because
What's
you
a
seemed
spoilie?
confused about the spoilies.
Yeah, what do you think's a spoilie?
I think the fact that this is designed, and we can unpack it more, but I think quite cleverly, to bridge the gap between the Andy Serkis Caesar trilogy and what is the original series of films. The fact that it is the vault, it is the doll, it is the disease, it is the series of steps that are leading to the society that is staying away from the forbidden place, which is where like it is setting up what is the original series of films while adding connective tissue to what were the Matt Reeves, Andy Serkis Caesar trilogy that we had previously experienced. I think that if you are someone who cares about the Planet of the Apes universe, knowing that, I think, was kind of a surprise. Like, I'm going to use the term care loosely. Like, I know, and I've become invested through this podcast, but I was like, they don't put this in the advertising campaign. It was a sincere surprise. There was a couple of things where I'm like, oh, wow, that's actually kind of a big, bold, fun decision that you've made here.
Okay.
Connecting the two.
I can kind of get where you're coming from, I guess. Yeah, I think that is less of a spoiler for me, and I really hope I'm not getting the plot of this wrong. The second Charlton Heston movie, in the old days, the old ones, is about finding people living underground in a bunker.
Oh, okay.
So, like, Charlton Heston finds smart humans in the second one, and then the dumb ones still live up top. So, like, this wasn't a spoiler for me. I was like, oh, yes, of course, the ones from the bunker.
But
it does really, like, tell the story well of, like, how this happened.
But I'm saying that in itself is the spoiler.
Oh,
the fact that you, like, the three prior ones have never been intended to connect to the Heston films.
That's fair.
So,
They've
like,
been just a new thing.
So I see what you're saying to be like, oh, I knew there was people in the bunker from the second Heston film. But until this film existed, those weren't connected. There was no reason to believe they were connected. It was its own original storytelling up until now.
Okay, so the vault stuff and it connecting, those are the spoilers. That makes sense. I got you. But actually, I will say, for my positives, I think the vault's cool. Because, like, going into this movie, like, the trailers their trailers were like, it's apes again. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what the conflict's going to be. But the apes trying to open up a vault, I actually do think is, like, a cool plot device I wouldn't have thought of. And I was like, yeah, this does make sense. You can't give these guys tanks. But maybe you could. That'd be fun. I actually wouldn't mind seeing a monkey in a tank.
I don't think they would figure it. They wouldn't know how to use it quick enough. Like, they don't even know how to read the English language. So, like, they can't read they would just be hitting stuff.
They would just be hitting stuff. I feel like they would, like, shoot one, like, shot and then never know how to reload it or put more bullets in anything.
Sure, yeah.
But, like, they sure would shoot a couple shots. But, yeah, I did not expect that to be where this was going, as much as I didn't think it was a spoiler for a second. I was like, oh, I didn't see the vault coming once it's there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But yeah, I'm like, oh, stuff in the vault. Yeah, we probably shouldn't let this guy have that.
Yeah, stuff in the vault. And then I would say as well, like, the other spoiler was just the fact that Freya Allen's character of May speaks, which is not in the trailers. It's meant to be the implication that she is one of the silent, speechless humans. And throughout the course of the film, we find out that she is someone from a different vault. Big month for vaults. If you're into Fallout, if you've been watching Fallout. Also, the vault in this one looked very much like it was the set from the Apple TV show Silo.
It did have a little Silo.
But there's only so much you can do with vaults. But
Silos just kind of look like that.
Big year for vaults and silos.
The Vault Tech people Vault Tech doesn't exist right now, but Vault Tech is like, should we make a Vault Tech?
They're at least selling it to film studios. I'll tell you that much.
People are into it.
But I agree. The idea of, like, we want in with some of that old world stuff. I think that is a fun premise.
And I agree that Freya Allen being able to speak is actually a good spoiler, because when she started speaking, as they hadn't introduced the vault yet, I was like, new astronaut? Very young. I thought she had, like, Charlton Heston onto the land.
I was also thinking of that as a possibility.
Because she also had just, like, regular clothes, whereas, like, the humans wear, like, rags. And I was like, you've got clothes like an astronaut, but you appear to be about 20 years old? We sent a very young astronaut into the future?
Question mark?
But, so that's definitely like oh yeah, I wasn't surprised you could talk, because it would be a pretty, like, I think the last movie was about bonding with a human who couldn't speak and had, like, lost her intelligence. So I was like, I'm pretty sure you're going to talk. But I didn't know, like, why or how.
Okay. Yeah. So they drop that on you. But yeah, I agree. I think that you bringing up like her costume, like the wardrobe of it, to be like, are you going to be an astronaut? Are we telling that story? Blah blah blah. Or some variation of that. Is that I think one of the failings of this movie is the wardrobe and makeup that they give her, where it's just a little bit too like, it's just like 3 pieces of carefully laying dirt on her face. And it's just like, I don't know, she's got like a tank top. Is that anything? But she's cold. But she has a tank top because she came from a vault in a proper society. I'm like, well, then why doesn't she have a sweater? So there's
she shows up at the end to Noah's like encampment, and she suddenly got layers, and she looks really presentable. Like, and I'm like,
where were you keeping those clothes?
Yeah. Where'd you get that?
Yeah.
You didn't go back to the water place.
I think her wardrobe exists in this terrible nexus in between a bunch of artistic decisions where it is not dirty and grimy enough. It is not clean enough to be from the vault. It is just kind of generic movie star who got 3 specks of dirt laid on her face for a film role. And it's not really there's no creative decision about the vibes and the look that she has in any way.
I will agree. No creative decision. I didn't mind the lack of dirt because we knew she got stuck in a rainstorm at least twice. That'll really undirt you.
Sure.
So I didn't mind lack of face dirt. That was fine. But yeah, because the idea is that she's been living in a vault for many generations, air quote, and from the way that the cities have crumbled, I'm going to say several hundred years at the lowest.
Yeah, it's supposed to be at I think 300-ish.
Yeah, it feels like that long. But that means the people in the vaults have been just recycling the same clothes for that long. So it should be way more stitched up, way more patched worked if this came from inside the vaults. If you've had a group of people just reusing the same clothes for 300 years. It's going to be threadbare and it's going to be tied together with other ones. It's not going to fit this well.
Yeah.
Even if she's not wearing rags like the other humans are. She should have a more interesting story to tell via her clothes.
Yes, I agree. There's no story told, but also I think that is a running problem visually that this movie has, which is, even though I generally speaking had a great time with this movie, and we'll kind of get more positive in a moment, but to kind of meet you in the middle of dunking on it a little bit, is that compared to the previous trilogy, to the Circus, Matt Reeves, Caesar trilogy, the Apes and just nothing really is particularly distinct. The previous films were it was Caesar, and it was they did a really good job to be ape, gorilla, orangutan. Those are the big 3, and you can immediately determine which is which.
We've got a main character of each.
Yeah, and then even then it's I think it was Caesar had big scar marks across his face, and it was you can tell who each person is immediately visually. They've come up with whether it's a scar or a coloring. Boom, you know who you're talking to. In this movie, both Freya's character of May is very kind of a bland as far as a human goes. It's not really any interesting choice made with how she looks. And all of the apes are just kind of samey, with the exception of Caesar's cool crown, who shows up a little bit later. But the main 3 teens that we're introduced to at the start, I'm you're the same ape, and I really I can't tell you apart. And I feel the film knows it because they keep saying each other's names in every sentence, where they'll be Noah, come over here. It's you, Noah. And I'm so you know that these are completely indistinguishable characters, huh?
They are wildly indistinguishable, except for the really big gorilla who eventually attacks them. He looks like Optimus Prime, and
yes.
I'm Optimus Primal's here. He looks awesome. He's very different. But yeah, the other apes, and they do look the same, and then it's so weird that they fix it a little bit by when they're in their camp, when they live at a home, they kind of all dress a little differently. Noah's got an armband, his mom has a blue shawl, so it's oh, okay, you've given them some defining factors. But then when they get kidnapped by the bad guys, they lose all their clothing and all their jewelry, and then they really are the exact same apes. So they really had to do more work of being this is this ape, this is this ape, this is this ape. Because, when he gets to the camp and everyone's lost all their clothing and their feathers and what identified them as different apes, I was when he shows up and he was it's you, and he hugs someone, I'm is this your mom or is this your girlfriend? And it was the mom, and I thought it was the girlfriend.
Yeah. Yep.
So, yeah, I agree the apes are non-differentiated except for Caesar and Optimus Primal.
Yeah.
You know.
From a character design standpoint and a costume design standpoint, pretty bland and uninspired visually. Even though that technically, the technical execution of this is flawless.
They've got the tech down.
The apes look fantastic. They look lifelike. They look real. The emotion that is conveyed through what the facial capture data that they took from the actors and then took that to the visual effects department to actually translate that to something like lifelike and full of heart and emotion. Their faces accurately convey the emotion of every scene and are technically impressive, and the fight scenes look good. Everything is interactive. Everything has the correct weight. Everything feels and looks good.
It does, and this is actually like a weird... Everything looks good and flawless to the point where it actually feels like a negative because I don't get impressed by it after like 5 minutes.
Ah, okay.
It's a weird, it's like, oh, wow, yeah, you've done a great job. And then I'm just like, yeah, it's a real monkey, so do something cool. But I agree, their emotions are, so well captured. It feels like it's, human eyes and then, an ape face. It feels like they've really, kept the actor's eyes every single time.
Yeah.
They're acting, which I really like. But, yeah, they're, they did such a good job of this entire world. It's generations later, and the world is kind of re-greenified. It's nature again, but everything is vining around old buildings. They live in a radio tower, the main characters, and they do such a good job of being we had to CG all this for sure. And it's so flawless that after the first few minutes, I'm like, yeah, they live in an old cruise ship. Yeah. Of course, it's a building. It's hollowed out. You're in a city, and it's just. It stops being impressive because they did a good job, and that's not a negative. There's no way that's a negative, but I'm I need to respect what they've done here more.
Yes.
Because it's 2.5 hours of great-looking stuff.
Yeah.
And it's all apes. Freya Allen's the only real thing in this movie.
Yeah, it's a compliment, and it is a compliment to be it reaches a point where it's just the medium. It is just how they are conveying this story, and it would be to be amazed by it would be no different than seeing any other movie and being holy shit, these images are so fast that it seems like these things are moving.
We should call these movies.
And it's a complete illusion. My brain is filling in the gaps and thinks that I'm looking at moving images, but I'm really not. To be amazed by the medium would actually be an insult to the triviality of it, but it's executed in such a way that is so flawless that you do kind of forget to appreciate it at a certain point.
Yeah, you definitely do. I almost feel if I was one of the animators, I would throw in just a real shitty scene for comparison. I'd be this one ape's gonna look bad, so you appreciate all these other apes.
Yeah.
I'd do something like that, because you do get lost in this is what the world looks like. It's real.
Yeah.
You've done such a good job, I'm not impressed, because I thought you were in a real forest made of old buildings.
Which is something that on a bigger scale, I feel movie studios are getting weirded out and afraid by, and filmmakers are getting weirded out and afraid by, because there is that effect that we've kind of discussed sometimes, which is that it's filmmakers don't want to be seen, and some directors don't want to be seen as an animated film director. And it's that's what you are. That's what you are at this point.
There's one real person in this movie.
And I am not talking down to animated features. I think animated features are fucking awesome. It is a great medium with which you can tell fantastic stories. It is a medium that is as valid as any other medium of conveying stories. But filmmakers don't see it that way. And I'm at this point, this is an animated feature. This is an animated feature, and movie studios want us to be oh my God, it looks so real. I want to know more. But now everything looks so real that it's okay, you've made an animated film. That's cool. Is the film good? And I think that that's actually kind of scary for filmmakers and studios now, because they're no, I want you to be impressed by the gimmick, because I don't want you to think that we're just trying to make a good animated movie, because we're not animated people. Do you know what I mean?
No, I do get what you mean. I think the best example is how they called the new Lion King live action Lion King.
Yes.
And it's there's not a lion in this.
Yeah.
This is an animated every animal movie. And maybe the trees are real.
Yeah.
Maybe the ground is real. But yeah, the new Lion King was an animated movie, and they kept billing it as live action Lion King. It's no, the Little Mermaid's live action. Those are human beings.
Yeah.
But this was an animated movie. It should have been nominated for animated Oscars, the Lion King one. And this is very similar. This is This is an animated movie. Yeah, especially when, like, as I said, all the cities aren't real. Like, nothing is real.
Nothing is real. And like there are interviews with the director where he talks about it's like we filmed it for real. Like we really did it. And then we deleted that footage in a visual effects department, came up with it from scratch, and that's so impressive. And it's like
that's an animated movie.
You created reference footage, which is kind of just a slightly more advanced storyboard, and maybe you did a little bit of performance capture in order to get data in order to raw work on. But also it's like if you want the artistic accolades, if you are a director or a film studio, it's like, I don't want to be an animated director. I don't want to be an animated film studio. I want to be respected artistically. Then it's like, well, then you need to artistically respect performance capture artists more. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like all of these different variants that are involved in this filmmaking process are not getting their respect as well, which I feel like is a general film industry problem now.
And definitely not a problem you're hitting. I mean, less so when you have Andy Serkis working on your movie. Probably the only motion capture artist who like actually gets respect in the field.
Yeah.
Of like, well, no, he's an artist.
But even then, wasn't it not until like the third Lord of the Rings film where they actually got him outside of motion cap that he was eligible for a supporting actor Oscar?
Oh, he was never eligible. No,
he was never eligible.
I don't think he was. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
The only.
I might be misremembering a story there.
No, they won. I think he got other stuff. The Oscars only Ian McKellen ever got a nod.
Okay.
For acting, they got tons of technical stuff.
Interesting. Yeah.
Technical up the wazoo.
But I thought it was like it wasn't until you saw like the flashback of him like as Smeagol that he was eligible for anything or something like that.
I mean that could have made him eligible. I don't think that was a good enough performance as Smeagol to be like, you get an Oscar.
Yeah.
But his
if there was an Oscar for performance capture, he would have a closet full.
Oh
at this point.
God. Yeah, he would. God, other actors would weep.
Yes.
I don't even know who else like. He doesn't do performance capture, but I feel like Doug Jones would get one.
Ooh, interesting.
Somehow.
Yeah, Doug Jones could easily, he could snatch one up.
Even though he's always prosthetic on set, I'm not actually being CG'd.
Yeah.
He just feels
I mean,
the
monster
same.
and creature work could also get its own just literal physical performance.
Stunts.
Physical performance, stunts. There's lots of unrecognized things. Stunts. There's lots of unrecognized stuff that could get more accolades across the industry.
As we've discussed, you got to say stunts from the back of your throat.
And to the point of like Andy Serkis, where like this movie, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, it starts with like kind of a summary of the previous trilogy, where it's like. Like telling you the story of Caesar, and it's kind of hyping it up, and then it's like, and that man was, and there was part of me was like, is it just going to say Andy Serkis? Or it's like, one man defined everything, the rules, the world we live in, everything we know only exists because of, and it could have easily just said Andy Serkis instead of the character of Caesar.
No, he changed the game.
Andy Serkis.
I don't even remember if he played Caesar in the last few. I thought Toby Keith did.
Oh, interesting.
Or Toby Kebler.
Yeah. Toby Keith is a singer.
Yeah, it probably was not. I'm going to backtrack a little.
Either way.
I'm going to say probably someone named Toby.
Serkis defines the game. That's what we're talking about.
Oh, yeah. Serkis is phenomenal. I mean, he's coming back as Gollum again. They just announced.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, they're doing a Gollum prequel movie.
Well, here we go. Let's go.
Andy Serkis will not stop being motion captured.
You cannot stop him. And I do think that the performers who did the mocap and PCAP for the main characters of Caesar, of Noah, and Raka, I believe was the other character, the orangutan. Really good. Like I think that like the emotion of the performance comes through for what the three of them do.
Yeah,
the main three.
They were my favorite ones. Yeah, I think all of his other family members were kind of forgettable, but like I really, really liked Kevin Durand as Caesar. I will say he felt like the only one who was having fun. Everyone else felt like they were like very professional and doing a good job and like emoting and making these characters real. And then like Kevin Durand as Caesar came out and he was basically like, "Are you not entertaining people?" He was just like, "I am Caesar. Today is a good day." It's like if a Klingon ruled the apes.
He rules.
He was having fun.
Yeah.
He was having fun, and I really, really liked him. I was sad he came into the movie so late, honestly.
Yeah, same.
I could have used way more of Caesar.
And also, like, Kevin Durand is a phenomenal character actor that everyone has seen in a million projects, and I'm like, I really want to see him get his flowers, and like, as we've discussed, performance capture isn't getting the flowers it deserves, so it won't be this role, but he does a really good job of it. Like, he is in that kind of like Neil McDonough character, like realm of like you get a man to show up and just own a character, he is going to do it.
Yeah, I think he gets less flowers because he's also just like a big henchman-y guy.
Yeah.
So like you're like, okay, big henchman-y guy. But then he also like nails it.
He knows how to do gravitas as well. Like he's not someone who's like an ex-wrestler who's just hired for his build, but he has been sometimes. But he also has the gravitas and performance to kind of back that up as well, which I think really works.
I thought him as Caesar was actually my favorite. And then I also really liked Peter McCon as Raka. Raka was like, I couldn't believe, I guess he is actually dead. Spoiler. I was really expecting Raka to just walk out of the water at some point or show up at a fight scene.
I do not know the reality, the real life of how good apes are or are not at swimming.
Oh, is this instant death?
They're treating it like it is a PlayStation 3 era video game where if you hit water, that is the
You're
boundaries
done.
of gameplay and you're just done and you have to restart the level. Every ape that hits water is dead.
That is a good point, because even when the vault like floods at the end, like you could just like, you don't have to really climb. Like the vault's not going to flood to the point where it's full. That's not where the water line was. So you could just kind of just tread water. But the apes are all like, no. They're like cats. They are avoiding water the way cats avoid water. Like, oh no, it'll kill us.
It really is insta-death to them for some reason. And I don't know what the reality of that is. Can apes swim? Question mark?
Is a Googling.
I am quickly Googling if apes can swim.
Their body mass might be too like heavy
Yeah.
to like do a good job.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of funny. Maybe that is like the thing that humans would have over them, because when he was trying to save Freya Allen, I was like, she feels like she could swim. Like she's light. She's just going to like go down river a little. It seems like a good way to get away from the bad guys who are trying to capture you.
I do agree that would be a dope way to get away from bad guys.
Usually a raging river is a really good getaway. Okay. Especially apparently if monkeys can't swim. What's Google say?
It is so. We all know how Google has been trash lately. It's actually kind of hard for me to get an answer from a legitimate source that isn't Google AI being like, we've guessed this and we don't want you to click a web page.
The AI says in the movie Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes they can't swim.
Yeah, exactly.
According to fictional sources.
Exactly. So it is. I think there's some answers that say that they cannot swim naturally or comfortably, but I don't have the deep dive research, and Google sucks now. So
also,
that's where I'm at.
I feel like no matter what, the Google search results aren't counting on the fact that they are very intelligent now. I feel like that helps you swim.
Oh, the hyperintelligence?
The hyperintelligence. It's probably not a hindrance.
Now, I think intelligence is not the key to swimming, because there are animals that are far dumber than us that do swim naturally.
Our dog's a great swimmer.
Dogs are great swimmers. Lots of creatures are great swimmers. So I don't know if intelligence can help, but I think maybe apes just can't.
And I also feel like of all the apes, orangutans seem like they'd be the worst at it. And that's what Raka was.
Yeah.
So like, I guess the movie ended, and then I was like, I guess now I'm sad about Raka, because I assumed he didn't die when he just disappears.
I agree.
When someone just disappears, you assume they're not still alive.
They assume that we as an audience know that apes can't swim when they show us that he is washed away. And I was like, okay, I guess we'll find him at the bottom of the river later or whatever, and he'll be chilling.
And save them.
He's gonna come back and be cool. And then like in the third act, when like every ape that hits water is fucking insta-killed, I was like, oh, okay, I guess Raka's never coming back, huh?
This is some Wicked Witch of the West kind of bullshit. You just turn into sugar and you die.
Yeah, but on that first one, they did assume that we knew that fact about the real world. If that is in fact a fact, I cannot know for sure, because Google is just an AI ad factory now, and I can't find verifiable information.
We needed someone yelling stuff out. Like, we needed Noah to be like, Freya Allen, apes can't swim, save him. Like, informing her about things about apes she might not know.
1,000%.
Yeah, so I really liked him. He did a great performance, and it was really sad when he died. I also played a fun game during this movie, because I did not look up a single performer before we went to see it. I knew Freya Allen was playing the only human. You guys might know her from The Witcher. She plays Ciri. But I didn't look up who was playing any of the apes, and I was playing a fun game of like, which actor this is.
Okay.
It turns out none of them are played by famous people, so my game was shit.
Didn't work. None of them were Andy Serkis.
None of them were Andy Serkis. I was like, is this Forrest Whitaker?
Okay.
But like all of my guesses were wrong
Yeah.
because none of them were famous people.
Nope.
I haven't looked into anyone's like work, but I'm hoping these are all actually like motion capture actors who are like
Right.
have done this and like this work.
I'm sure many of them are. I mean, that's what they did on the previous films, which is that it's predominantly motion capture artists. I think with the exception of Kevin Durand, who is a character actor of some renown, who is known for on camera work. You know.
Yeah, I'll give him that. Man, he was fun.
Yeah.
And I don't know the name of like the Optimus Primal.
Oh,
I don't know.
yeah, Big Boy.
Big Boy. I just
Big
like
boy.
actor wise, I can't like
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
out which one he is.
Big strong boy.
Big strong boy.
Big strong boy. He was good. He was great. Yeah,
I've got some complaints about the namings though.
Sure,
also,
lay it on me.
If I was
No, throw it on me.
Oh.
Throw it on me.
So our main character's named Noah.
Yeah.
And then we meet Freya Allen, and they're like, "This is Nova." I'm like, "Fuck you."
You can't have Noah and Nova.
You can't. And Nova is from the original movies. That's what Charlton Heston names like his lady.
Oh, okay.
So she can be Nova, but then you can't name your main Noah.
Noah. No.
And I know
it has to be a different name.
I know he changed her name like an hour later.
But that's also dumb.
Right? Why would we call her Nova at all? Just as like, this movie did love references to the original though.
Yes.
This movie was thick with them. The Nova thing. Nets are back.
Nets are coming back.
This was the first time there were nets.
You lost it when they took out a net.
Well, not just that they took out a net. It was like the exact same, like, we're forcing them to all run through a field and then we net them
Into the net, and we're riding horses. We're herding humans.
Yeah,
they were herding humans. They had nets.
We have finally reached the first like original Charlton Heston era stage.
Yeah, and they had the like the bolas, the boas, the rocks on rope that you throw and tie people up.
Yeah, I never know if that's a boa or a bola.
I think a bola.
You think a bola?
Yeah, but they had those, which is also a thing from the original as well. And then like we have the vault, which is the vault. The implication is it's the vault from the original.
This is what I really like about it being the vault.
Or maybe it's not the vault from the original, because the original is meant to be New York, New Jersey, and this is the West Coast. This is San Francisco.
It is, but I almost wish it was, because like they found the doll, and the doll's great. That's a great little callback to the doll that says "Mama." But also, what I really liked was I liked the explanation of where the steps came from in the original movie. In the original movie, Cornelius and Zira are like archaeological digging, but they don't have any like equipment to build steps. But there's these giant like steps up until the place that he's been archaeologically digging, and I'm like, you didn't build those.
Oh, interesting.
Where
Okay.
did those come from? So I was like, oh, Caesar made them, and we just blew up the wall.
Ah, cool. Okay.
But it's not the right coast. But I liked that idea. But I was like, whenever I watch the original, I'm like, I don't think Cornelius and Zira made these steps.
And it might be the idea of like parallel storytelling of like something similar is happening on the East Coast, right? Where it's like, and obviously that's something that they're going for, even by the fact that the ending results in them going to another vault and sending humans sending out a radio signal or a satellite signal and finding out that there's other vaults that are still alive. I think it is meant to tell this story that there is parallel storytelling that is happening all across America and I suppose the world in this scenario.
Yeah, that works. And every vault had a doll.
And every vault
they
had a
were
doll.
stocked with one mama doll.
Hey, a default, Vault Tech enjoys selling a uniform product.
I say this jokingly, but like if that was the popular doll when people went into vaults.
A doll that says mama.
A doll that says mama. Pretty basic bitch shit.
Yeah. But also like,
good for any child though.
Yeah,
also.
yeah,
Like,
that is good for any child.
It's not a fad.
No, it's not a Tickle Me Elmo.
This is a default doll.
Yeah. It could have been a Tickle Me Elmo, but it's a default doll.
I wish it was
that says mama. Yeah, because like with the new reboot, it happens like the ape apocalypse happens later, and it is at a point in that first film where it's like they have like news and like there is like LCD televisions and like it's the year 2001 or whatever the fuck in that movie.
It's late.
So
there's cell phones.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if those satellites would still be working. I gotta say, when we build a satellite, do we just put the panels on for fun? They still work if the panels fall off?
Oh, the dish.
Oh, so yeah, the dish.
I'm like in space. That thing's still going.
Oh, space is like
that thing is still going.
There's nothing to hurt you in space. No friction.
Yeah,
you're good. No, I meant the ground.
Here's the thing about those
ground
dishes. Dish. I don't know enough about those dishes.
You're not the man to ask.
Yeah,
and I'm not the woman to answer. This is why I have questions.
Yeah. Okay.
But you know what? We could call Craig Fay.
Yeah. Maybe if we could get Craig Fay to consult on this one.
If we zoom in Craig Fay, we're like, do you need the little panels on the
satellite dishes weren't doing well.
Yeah.
They weren't doing well. I think the dishes, the panels increase its reach, but they would still function without them, question mark?
I guess if maybe they're meant for space and you're just trying to call Georgia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
it's not nearly as far. Like a cell phone can call that far.
Yeah. But that also goes to space too. So I don't know. Yeah,
first?
it's going to space.
Does it go to space all the way to space?
Pretty sure it's going to space.
I thought that's why we have fucking phone towers. It just goes to a phone tower.
I think that's what phone lines are doing.
To space. We got to call Craig.
We're sending I don't know how anything's going to space. I wish I could help you, but I don't know how any of it's getting up to space, if I'm being honest with you. I don't know if apes can swim, and I don't know how it's getting to space.
And Google won't tell us
And
anymore.
Google won't tell. Google
used to tell us.
It used to tell us, but now I type in something and it sends it to space and it comes back with some AI gibberish that it's not citing the references for. I type into Google, can apes swim? And it comes back with like, apes are complicated. They can't. And I'm like, where did you get this? You're not citing your references. Is this reputable? I don't know, but I think you went to space. Science is tough, is what we're saying.
No, I mean, like, Google's making it tougher.
Yeah.
You used to just get a straight answer. With a site.
Bring on the apes.
You know what? Let's go to Ape Town.
Send in the clowns. But to go back to a positive about this movie, which I did really enjoy, is that I think that this movie did a really good job of in the simple action scenes, or maybe I'll call them set pieces more than action scenes, of making me feel the tension and feel on the edge of my seat. Even the simple scenes of like the opening scene of Noah and the two other kind of teens going to get these eggs for their like coming of age ceremony seems to be the implication, where they get an eagle's egg and they kind of raise it and train it, or a falcon's egg and they raise it and train it.
I think they're eagles. He's called Eagle Son.
Is it? Oh yeah. So an eagle egg. And they're getting these eggs, and it's like you've got to climb a little bit higher than the other one. And it's such a simple premise. And this is where I think this movie shines, is just in these very simple, and it almost feels like the movie is a collection of small, like, micro episodes or little vignettes of storytelling with very minimal dialogue, where it's like, can you climb a little bit higher? And that's the simple premise. That's the game of the scene. The scene starts with two of us have an egg, the third one doesn't. Can you climb a little bit higher? And I felt tense. And like when he's climbing up and then slides and falls, I was like, oh no. And the movie had just started, but I felt a connection just in how they animated his face, the expressions, how they related to one another, and just how it was filmed and shot. Like I felt the tension of that scene. I really did feel something.
I will say, this isn't a negative, I didn't really feel that tense, but I really did enjoy that scene, because I feel like to me that scene of when he's like, I gotta go a little higher and it's a little bit more dangerous, to me that scene was very much, don't forget, apes are superheroes. Because he like breaks off a piece of rebar and he's like, no, I can just stick rebar into a building and make like makeshift like building climbers.
I'm like Wolverine climbing up a side. Yeah.
But I'm just like, the smartness is science fiction, but apes are actually this strong.
They're real strong and good climbers.
So that
terrible swimmers, we think.
We're pretty sure. If you ever need to get away from an ape, jump into some water, we think. But yeah, for me, that scene was him just being like, no, I can make it. And he grabs a piece of rebar. He like at one point like holds it with his foot and shoves it into a building, and he swings across real cool, like a cool ninja warrior lache. And so to me, I wasn't like, I wasn't tense like I think he's gonna fall, but I was like, holy shit, apes are strong. And I was like, no wonder they beat us.
Yeah.
This is their kingdom.
Yeah.
Humans ain't got shit on apes.
See, I think I was also tense because
I can't do a single pull-up. Every ape can do a pull-up.
They can do multiple pull-ups.
Multiple.
They could free solo anything. And I think I was also tense because the movie starts and introduces three characters, and I'm like, I don't know actually which one of you this movie's about.
One of them could.
So I was like, one of them could have fallen. One of them could have fallen or anything like that. And then just like the series of little stories this movie tells of like, he's got this egg and he's trying to impress his dad who's not paying a lot of attention to him. And it's just, it doesn't have the biggest through line. So like some movies will have a through line, like maybe where like if I were to rewrite this one with like a big traditional movie through line, it would be the main character of Noah is supposed to take over as the leader of the tribe, but like his dad's hard on him specifically to be like, you can't lead anyone, you're not a leader, and then it ends with him being a leader. You start out being one place, you're told you can't do something, you end up learning and evolving, and you end somewhere different. There's not a big through line in this movie, but there is a series of micro stories that are told. And this like, hey, Dad, I've got an egg. Do you like me? And like, are you proud of me? Mom says you're proud of me. And this little family dynamic that isn't the plot of the movie, but it's very emotional and feels very real. And when he runs into the human who crushes his egg, my heart broke. And I'm like, this is just a little story about I'm trying to protect an egg to raise an eagle to make my dad proud, and now the egg is broken. I was heartbroken for the guy.
I will say that is the most emotion I felt in the movie for sure. Like, because I also forgot he was still holding the egg. Yeah, when he looks down, and I was like, oh no, did she stab him? And instead the egg had been broken. I'm like, that's worse.
I would have preferred. I also had the same thought.
Oh no, it was so hard to get the egg, and he showed everyone, and he has to go climb another tower now. Yeah, I really felt for him about this egg storyline, which I will say off the top, I was like, what? Eggs? This is our intro, but then they got me.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I got invested. And you're right that there is a like little interesting, there's not a through line, but there is interesting family dynamics. Like I love the idea that this eagle is basically his brother and they don't like each other.
Yeah.
He's like a combative little brother, and the little brother's like, I'm Dad's favorite. Man. Like that is their relationship, even though the eagle can't talk. He's just a regular eagle. But then by the end, it's like, for Dad, and they like work together to kill the guy.
Enemies to friends between an eagle monkey brother duo is not a storyline you expect, but it works.
It hasn't been done.
It has never been done before.
It hasn't. So that was nice. Although I will say I think the ending is a little too silly that the eagles kill him. I'm like, there's 100 apes here.
Yeah.
I don't know if we needed to involve the eagles.
Right.
There are 100 of you versus one man. But yeah, the little microcosm story of like earning his brother's respect.
Yeah.
And like that, like making him a leader of his people. Yeah, it works. It works generally. It's like it's a classic like we didn't fuck up this story in any way.
But the story isn't about him becoming the leader. It is, and I would say the story is even the antithesis of that. It is about realizing that we are all stronger together, and that being a leader is wrong. Is that
Caesar was right?
That the original Caesar was right, and that this false Caesar is the one who is bringing, and he's the one who's questing for human knowledge, and he's trying to bring human hierarchies and old human societal structures of like he's obsessed with, William H. Macy's character is like, we've been reading about Rome and stuff like that, and he's like, yeah, he's figuring out how to use forced laborers to create an empire. He is the one who's trying to create human society of hierarchies so he can be at the top. Whereas the original Caesar and Noah now and his group of people are the ones who are doing the ape stronger together type of thing, which is why they all function together and even at one with nature with the eagles at the end, which I think is really smart and clever.
Now, I was a little bit iffy on if they're at one with nature, because as much as the eagles like are cool with them and I guess could leave whenever they want, they are still like tied up and like stuck in that burning house in the beginning. I'm like, are the eagles actually free, or have they been enslaved in a weird way? And enslaved isn't the right word. It's like saying our dog's enslaved.
Yeah.
But like there is a little bit something happening there.
Yeah.
But I agree that they're definitely like the ones more attuned to nature. They have like this wonderful socialist group. I don't know how to describe groups.
At the very least, like equilibrium and cohabitation, which
they
is just like
cohabitate.
They are working with other animals that they are taking care of and that they are risking their lives for, and even kind of establishing at the beginning of the movie with Noah and the two other siblings when they're taking eggs from the nest, and there's 3 eggs and there's 3 of them.
And
it's
they
like
never take
we
all
can't
the
take it.
eggs.
It's like you never take the last egg because we need nature we need to exist simultaneously alongside nature, and we need species to propagate, and we cannot hunt something to extinction, which is a very human ideal, which is also the type of thing that Caesar and the humans are trying to enact, which is that I will destroy anything that gets in the way of my conquest. And they are not that. So I would say that like how they cohabitate with the eagles is also meant to be like the antithesis of how they see in like the picture books that humans would kind of imprison apes for entertainment, for watching, and not for living alongside with.
Yeah, that's a good point. The egg thing is a good introduction of like their values and how they live in this world.
Yeah.
No, you're like, no, they're the good guys. Even if you're stealing an egg, you gotta leave one for mom.
You gotta leave one for mama.
You can't let mom show up and be like, oh, my children.
She's gonna lose her mind.
No, but if she shows up and she's like, wasn't there 3?
Yeah, I still gotta look after
Can
this
I
one.
count?
Can I count?
I'm a bird.
Can you swim and can apes swim and can birds count?
Got a lot of questions that Google's not answering.
I think birds can count. I'm gonna put money on birds.
I think they can count to 3.
Yeah, they can at least count to 3.
I think they can know how many they had 3 eggs.
Birds are pretty. If you can train them to hunt, they can count.
Ooh, that's
if you're smart enough to be trained to hunt, then you can count.
Yeah, if you can know commands, you can count to 3.
Yeah. If you can know commands. But yeah, I think that just generally that was the thing that pleased me most about this movie. Just to kind of summarize, the one thing that made me really happy was that a lot of the times we will criticize a film for not having like a strong theme or a strong through line. This one was just a series of micro stories, but I got invested with every individual relationship along the way. And I thought that they sold it very well, where it's just very simple stories of like, please don't betray me. Please don't lie to me. You're lying to me. That hurts me. And now I'm turning to someone else. And those things I thought were very nice.
That is interesting because I feel like that is a thing we've complained about that like has never worked, and like it didn't work for me, but I'm like, oh, okay, these stories do work for some people.
Yeah.
These like small microcosm stories, because I always love a big through line. I love like one main relationship. That's what I'm always down for. So him like meeting too many people along the way and having too many people he cared about was like too spread out for me.
Right.
But like it's cool to know that it's like, yeah, no, that's powerful for some people.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think
some movies are not for everyone.
And I think it also kind of like reflected the judgment of human society as well, of like him being surprised that May was able to do deception and not understanding deception, to be like, we are very honest. It is a one-to-one storyline. To be like, our emotions, our stories are simple, and it's not until the humans of Freya and William H. Macy get involved that there is complicated subtext and misunderstood intentions. And even the way that they react to that, I thought was really nice little small stories. So
I do have to dunk on Noah's, I guess his entire tribe a little bit, though. Like, even if they don't know deception, I will say it was very funny to me when Noah shows up and he's been captured and they've all been captured and Caesar's making them work slave labor. And Noah shows up, I think, like, at max a day later than everyone else. And everyone he knows is just like defeated. And they're just like, we're here for life. We have to bow to Caesar. We're broken. I'm like, you've been here for a day. You didn't hold on to hope any longer than that. Like, he was right behind you on his horse.
yeah.
That was like, that felt like they'd been there for months, or like they'd been beaten or whatever. And really it was just like, well, we can't escape because there's water everywhere and I assume we can't swim. And also they feed us a little bit and sometimes we have to pull on a wall. Oh, and there's no escape. I'm like, come on, guys.
Just get out of here.
You've been here for a day.
I think that this is another one of those things where the movie's like, you understand ape societies, right? Where it's just like...
They lose hope immediately.
Where it's just like, if one person's stronger and displays that strength in front of the rest of you, all of you admit that that person's the leader forever. And I think like they're just like, yeah, that's what apes are like. And you, as an audience, also know that about apes, right? And I'm like, yeah, but they don't talk as well. So you got to kind of... You have to tell us what apes still are and also aren't in order for us to kind of follow that logic.
Yeah, but even if you're like, that guy's the leader now, you could be like, maybe once the doors open, we'll be free. You could like not be such a downer about it.
Just stop being a buzzkill.
You're a real buzzkill.
Yeah, they are a bit of buzzkills.
You've lost all faith in everything immediately.
No, I get that.
So that was just very funny to me. I was like, it's been like 24 hours, Mom.
You gave up way too soon.
Gave up. You didn't even try. There's so many more of you than there are of the bad guys.
And they have to learn that.
Apes
Stronger together.
Apes
Apes stronger together. Apes stronger. Apes stronger together.
Caesar literally says it.
Yeah. Apes stronger together.
Apes stronger
together. Why Cookie Rocket? These are the important things that we've learned from the Planet of the Apes series. Well, let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question of what would you change. So now that we've discussed everything we've discussed, what would you change about this if you could change anything? Before we do ask that final question, we will remind you, as we do every week, to please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. On Spotify now, you can hit that little bell button so you'll get notified every time that we have a new episode go live. And leave a review because it helps us rise up the charts and it helps us find new listeners and get recommended to new people. And when new people find the podcast, they check those reviews, and that's largely a big thing that influences whether people give us a shot.
Yeah, you're really going to help us out. If you like this podcast, please let other people know. You can tweet about it. You can leave reviews. It really helps us out. Your recommendation is so much more powerful than ours because people are like, well, of course you like your show. And I'm like, not really. On the top, we were like, we're both bad at comedy. So
Look out for that.
We need other people to tell us we're good at it.
Ape Town, baby. So go Ape Town and leave a rating and review. And as well, if you do want to support the podcast monetarily, you can do that over on our Patreon page. Patreon, for those of you who don't know, is a monthly subscription service where you can subscribe at any level that is in your budget.
Any.
You can do $1 a month if that's all you have.
You can do $1.50.
You can do
put cents in.
Wow, you can go into the cent level if that's what's in your budget, which makes it very reasonable and easy to support the creators that you love, which hopefully is us. And those $1, never feel silly about it. If you only have like $1 and you're like, I really like Talk from Superheroes, I really like Andrew and Diana, but I really can't afford a lot. I can maybe afford $1. Don't feel silly about doing that because those dollars add up, and like every patron really adds up to become how we do this as our full-time job and keep this content going. And also you can get cool bonuses. The $1 level gets our webcomic Text from Superheroes a day early. The $3 level, you get our episodes early and ad-free, which is especially awesome for episodes like this when we're talking about a new movie or TV show, because it means that you can use us to influence whether or not you're actually going to spend your hard-earned money or time to go check something out. And at the $10 level, you will get exclusive bonus episodes of this podcast every single month. This month, building up to the release of Furiosa, a Mad Max story, we did the original Mad Max.
Very interesting movie.
Very interesting movie. We thought we had seen it, and we had never seen it before.
Neither of us had.
So that was an interesting journey, and that's available right now over on our Patreon page. And when you sign up at that level, you will get this month's Mad Max episode, and you also get immediate access to the full back catalog as well. So if you do want to become a patron, go check out the levels, check out the options. You're never locked in. You can always cancel or change on any given month. Head on over to patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. That is patreon.com/fromsuperheroes. And thank you to all of our current and future patrons.
Thank you so much to our patrons. You mean the world to us, and you help us do what we love.
And now let's go in for the close. Let's ask the final question. Diana, what would you change about this movie if you could change anything?
I think it's like a little bit slow. I would shorten it up. I don't know why. It feels really silly to make a movie 2.5 hours with no stars, and when it's all CG, I'm like, you could have saved millions of dollars if this was 90 minutes long. Like, I feel like you could really shorten it up. I think it does drag a little. So I don't really even know what to cut, except it's just like every scene's a little long, and we don't need a lot of them. But my actual like story change is, I think my like most entertained I was in this movie was when, I'm going to keep calling her Freya because that's the actress name, when Freya talks for the first time, and then Noah and Raka are like, whoa, this human's talking. And that kind of like goes away later. The other apes aren't as amazed. And I think it's because the apes have not met humans before. So I just feel like I would really like it if like humans were just around that aren't smart. Just the mute, dumb humans were around, but they're just like, they're not a threat. They're not a problem. And then it is more amazing when you meet one that talks. If you've never met a human and the first one you meet talks, I think that's not really that cool. But if you've seen them around all the time and you've never seen one talk and they're not smart, it's like, oh, okay, so they're dumb. And then one talks eloquently and you're like, whoa! And I just really liked that, and I wanted more of that when she got to like Ape Town later, of people being like, whoa, that human's talking. I think it was very entertaining. I think it makes it more special when you meet her. You're like, oh, there is something different about her than the other humans. So that's like my list, like change that I think would make the movie more fun, because I do think it needs a pop of humor and a pop of like some like more entertaining stuff happening. So that's what I'm going to change.
Yeah, no, I get
Humans
that.
are just kind of like around. I don't know why they have to be a secret.
Right, because they can still be the like they're kind of quoted to be pests. You can shoo them away. Like there could be more humans around. I get that.
But in the beginning, they acted like they've literally never seen one.
Right.
So I'm like, why aren't they coming into this part of the world? Like they're just foraging for food. So yeah, I want more humans around that are dumb, so Freya looks smarter. Andrew, what would you change?
I like that. I think that works really well. That's a very simple improvement that can easily be executed. I like it a lot. I think my simple change is honestly a one-liner about how apes can't swim. Sincerely and wholeheartedly, and
Or at least
I tell
Raka
you-
personally?
I tell you where the point to put it is.
Hit me.
Is at one point Raga is talking to May about the disadvantages of not having 4 feet. And he's like, I don't understand. You have hands and feet, but you can't grab with your feet. You realize how good climbing is? And that could be, and I think that might have been before he learned that she could talk, but if we just move it to afterwards, then it could her to be like, yeah, but I can swim. And to be like, why can't apes swim? And then just them being like, oh, water. Like something.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Establish that apes can't swim makes it makes it so much more like tense when Raka is like, oh my God, I'm sacrificing myself for you, to be like, you might swim, but I don't want to risk it. And I will die trying to save you. And I think that makes that so much more meaningful, so much more tense. Because as it was when I was watching it, I was like, I wonder if he'll be okay downstream later. I honestly thought that, even though I was like, it's nice of him to do that. But like, if I did that, I would be like, see you later. And as I would float away. And, if I'm a good swimmer. But yeah, that would be a one line there, and it is when Raka is ragging on humans for not being as good at climbing because we have feet and hands as separate ideas.
I love that change because it adds a moment of humor, but it also lays in the seed. But it also means when Raka like floats away, I'm going to be sad because I know he can't swim.
Yes.
And because like that sadness didn't hit. Both of us were just like, he's gonna be back later.
I'll see him later.
And I'm not gonna be sad 2 hours later when I realize he did actually die. I want to be sad in the moment. So yeah, if we went into that knowing that he absolutely could not swim and he was gonna sink like a stone and die, then I would be like, yes.
There were so many
way better.
opportunities to set it up. Even the fact that
it's a great setup.
Even the fact that she was cold and like Raka being like, they get cold weirdly easy. And it's like, yeah, because we don't have fur, because we're actually also way more accustomed to living in water because that's where we evolved out of. So it's like, yeah, humans are also like creatures without fur are also better swimmers as well. So it's like you set up the fur thing, you set up the feet and hands separate thing. It's right there for you to say one more fucking thing to set that up.
So we know Raka's dead.
And then the ending and the mid death and the ending are so much more relevant and impactful knowing that.
Knowing that like water bad.
Water very bad.
It does make it a way bigger choice then when also Noah decides to like flood it with water.
Yes.
Like he's making a really like, my clan might die here.
Yeah, my clan might die here.
We all hate water.
Yeah. So that's my change.
This is like the opposite of Fury Road. They love water.
They love it. They want it. They can't get it and they want it. And these guys are like, no.
No.
Well, that is going to do it for this week for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Next week on the podcast, we're going to be back and we're going to be talking about Mad Max Fury Road.
Woo! So fun.
Very fun. We'll be back talking.
I love that movie. It's such a good movie.
We'll be talking about that next week on the podcast. In the meantime, if you want to reach out to us, and by the way, if you are if you're listening to this the week it comes out, if you're in the Vancouver area, I am going to be performing in Vancouver at Chillax Studios at 8 p.m. From Wednesday the 15th to Friday the 17th. So I'm doing live stand-up in Vancouver the 15th to the 17th. Come on out if you're listening to this. And if you want more info about my dates or just to hang out with me, I'm on Instagram and other social medias at Ivimey, IVIMEY.
You can find me at Pics of Diana or on Tumblr at Words of Diana.
And you can find both of us most places at From Superheroes. And you can check out all the podcasts and everything we create over at FromSuperheroes.com. And we'll talk to y'all next week.
Bye.